Apparently there are ruptures in at least 3 locations that have diminished the flow of water, and the call is going out to the citizens across the county to conserve water as much as possible. Tom McHenry, the mayor of the city, is here with me. Tom, I understand you made an offer to Mayor Agnos because the situation up there is so much more critical. Tell me about it.
Well, we haven't been through to Art yet, but through the emergency channels, we're offering police officers and firefighters, as we have already done to the county of Santa Cruz. They don't seem to need it at this point. They have things as well under control as is possible, but as you know, Santa Cruz has been hit very hard, as has San Francisco. Relatively speaking, we're in pretty good shape in San Jose with, so far, and I emphasize so far, no fatalities, although the hospitals are doing a large business and some of the injuries are probably fairly serious.
I overheard you earlier talking to people in Santa Cruz. Tell me about the situation as far as people trying to commute between here and there. That's out of the question right now?
Absolutely. Highway 17 is closed. The center divider on 17 that divides the highway, the safety barrier, seems to be shattered almost entirely. Highway 9 through the Saratoga Gap is closed. I'm told, but I'd advise people to check on this, that Route 120, I believe it is, through Watsonville might be open to get into Santa Cruz from the south. But as of now, the major Highway 17 is closed, and according to Chief Deputy over there, should be closed for some time.
I guess we can't overstate the message to the public about water conservation at this point, right?
No, I don't think we can. I think really absolute emergency use of water only. Of course, we have emergency officers and firefighters at many places in San Jose. All the hospitals are open. All the highways are open in this area. It's going to take some time to get help to people who need it, but please be patient. There's a lot of officers and a lot of firefighters and a lot of medical people around, and if you need their assistance, they will be there. Just be patient and keep calm and notify the proper authorities, 911, as you know, if you need any help or assistance.
Overall, a pretty lucky place.
I think we're pretty lucky so far, and of course our heart goes out to Santa Cruz and San Francisco and other places where fatalities have occurred this time, and so far I guess we've been a little lucky down here.
Anna, again, the message on the water is very strong. Conserve as much as possible. If you see a leak in your home, if you live in this area, you see a water leak in your home, don't rely on water people to go out and fix that and turn it off. Take it upon yourself to turn the water off. Simply not enough personnel, but the call for conservation is strong, because if there is an aftershock that will further rupture those pipes, obviously the situation could be critical. I can't answer your questions because we're in a building that is impenetrable by airwaves, so I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Rigo. Again, for people in San Jose who notice major main leaks, here is a number that you can call to get repair. In area code 408, the number is 279-7888. And if you need instructions on how to purify water, should the event arise that's the situation, you need to purify water, check in the white pages of your phone book, in the front section of the phone book, and you'll see very clear instructions on how to do that.
We're going to tell you that again and again. There is an enormous amount of information on earthquakes the telephone company has put in those books, and any one of them, any of the white pages has that in there and will be very valuable to you in the next couple of days. Laura Marquez, one of our own reporters, is with us now, and she has been at the scene of that horrible fire in the Marina District, and give us some idea, and we'll be rolling tape of both that we have most recently tonight, and then earlier when that fire first hit. Give us some notion, Laura, of what you saw down there when you first arrived.
Well, when we first arrived, we headed down to Cervantes, and okay, first of all, what you're seeing here are aerials of the fire, I guess, coming up in that Marina District. When we first arrived on the scene, there was a collapsed building that was right here. We're seeing some of the fire. What they did is they got a lot of residents from the Marina District to come out. Yes, they came out and helped. What they had to do is they had to truck the water down from the bay because they didn't have any of the water going. You can see this here. That was a 4-story apartment building that had completely collapsed. To the right there, that's the fire, and that was started by a ruptured gas break. They did have to evacuate some people. There were some injuries.
Now, there was collapse prior to this fire. In other words, some of these buildings collapsed. This was not part of the explosion process here.
That's right. This fire was started by a rupture of the gas main, but most of it was the collapsed buildings. You can see the garages that were buckled down.
Completely undermined.
Completely, so many of them. The buildings, as I say, 4-story buildings that are now 2 stories. 2 stories completely down on the ground.
Can you
the basement, the garage.
Estimate of the size and the area involved here? This is Beecher and Divisadero, right?
Right. This is, well, it's actually Jefferson and Divisadero, and they evacuated a 2-block area, but the whole area around it, they have evacuated people and told them not to go back. I live in the area.
There's a large school right there. Was that damaged at all?
Marina Middle School?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about? We did not have a chance to see that. I do know that that was where they were taking some of the injured, so they were using that as one of the sites that they were taking some of the injured in this evacuation
center.
center.
Get up as far as Chestnut in the business district.
They said that the Chestnut area is built on not the sand, and that is why the Chestnut area seemed to do better. But we were driving down Chestnut, and you could still see a lot of cracks in the building.
Yeah.
It's really a block up from the bay. A block up from the bay is where most of the damage really was. As I said, the number of buildings that were buckled was really incredible.
All right, now
when you were there, excuse me, Pete, when you were down there, it was incredible to see that many residents so quickly organized on the scene instantly.
Everybody was trying to help. Everybody was directing traffic. They were pulling in the hoses. They were keeping people back who had no business being there. We saw some residents go tearing into an apartment building and break the windows to try and go in and see if there was anybody in there. They were searching for people that might be trapped. They had to come out of some of those buildings because structural engineers were concerned they could collapse with any kind of an aftershock. One aftershock, and those buildings could be down on the sidewalk.
So the suggestion there is that if you're in that older section, that this is probably not...
The firefighters told me, I asked him, I live around the block, I said, what should I do? And he said, I recommend that anybody that lives in that Marina District should not stay in their house tonight.
All right.
As we've heard, Mayor Art Agnew says that there's going to be added security on the streets, and that at this point anyway, there doesn't seem to be a terrific problem with security, but obviously with that kind of evacuation underway, all people who can help are needed, and all military personnel in the Bay Area are being asked to check with their units. Now, this is not, repeat, this is not a recall, but in case they may be needed, all military personnel in the Bay Area should check in with their respective units as quickly as possible.
We're going to go to David Sampson, one of our producers here. He is at San Francisco General Hospital with us now. David, can you tell us what's going on there?
Yeah, Pete, one thing that strikes out here in all the panic that people are talking about, it's remarkably calm here at San Francisco General Hospital in the emergency room. They took in 25, 30 cases of people earlier tonight, mostly small cuts and abrasions, but those have mostly been patched up and let go, and it's a quiet night even for earthquake weather. I mean, you'd expect to see a little more action here on any night. It's very quiet. There was one person injured in the Townsend, the brick collapse on Townsend and 5th. That person is described as an older woman in critical condition in the operating room right now. They're trying to get her back on her feet. But there was some talk that a couple of people from the Oakland collapse were going to be shipped over here, possibly by helicopter, but that appears not to be happening now. So apparently it's just very quiet here now, and the one woman from the Townsend and 5th accident is still in surgery right now.
David, some patterns are making themselves clear here, and perhaps we can begin to be optimistic about certain aspects of this. Certainly not those two areas, the marina, the collapse of the sections of freeway, and the reports of damage at some of the malls. But it appears to be that people were injured seriously only in those concentrated areas. At least this is what we're finding out at this hour. Is that correct?
It appears so, Pete. The 25 or 30 people who did have scrapes were a variety of places all over the city. But the serious injury, the one serious injury they had here was from 5th and Townsend. The rest of them were very minor.
Okay, thank you. David Sampson reporting live. Coincidentally, David Sampson works for Dr. Dean Adele, so when he takes a look at an emergency room, might be with slightly better trained eyes than most.
That's right.
Another update from VA Hospital in Palo Alto. Apparently, 2 patient buildings have been evacuated, but strictly as a precaution at the VA Hospital in Palo Alto. 200 patients have been moved into other buildings, and they are not calling in extra nurses there. No earthquake-related injuries at the VA Hospital in Palo Alto. Again, Kaiser Hospital is asking all employees who can to get to their respective work centers. If they can't, go into any Kaiser Medical Center.
We're seeing some eerie, I think, similarities between this and the Los Angeles quake, in which we saw that severe damage back in the 70s, that severe damage to freeways and damage to hospitals and so on. Some older structures that were undermined for one reason or another. We just got this message from Bart, and it's a general message, but this will help some folks who are concerned about getting from one place to another. And again, the emergency people, the state and local, are asking people not to travel tomorrow unless absolutely necessary, unless listed by us here or on radio. Bart says the Concord line was not damaged. Just starting service from West Oakland to Concord now. Richmond service from Oakland should begin soon. Fremont lines and the Transbay Tube service still down. Engineers check for damage there. They are hopeful that by morning they will at least be able to run as far as the Embarcadero Station. Again, the Embarcadero Station in the East Bay. A power outage is currently preventing service in the Daly City. BART will run all night tonight. They're working as fast as safely possible in getting those trains rolling again. Now, here is a classic example of what we're going to run into here, and we hope that you bear with us. But not more than 45 minutes ago, I told you that BART was down for the night. Now we're getting this report. So we will go with this one until we get a later report. It's all we can do.
We have a couple of other updates. New information involving the schools. UC Berkeley, Stanford University, the Berkeley Public Schools, Oakland Public Schools, and San Francisco Catholic Archdiocese are all saying that all elementary Catholic schools will be closed, all public schools in those areas will be closed. Officials are going to call us tonight to help us get the word to parents and staff. In Oakland, principals are advised in the Oakland Public School District to please report to their schools tomorrow and to assess the damage. Parents and staff who have questions about the closure and how long it will be in effect can call the Oakland Public Schools at this number, 836-8253, tomorrow after 8 a.m. Again, UC Berkeley, Stanford University, the Berkeley Public Schools, the Oakland Public School District, and the San Francisco Catholic Archdiocese all say their schools will be closed.
All right. Let's try to update folks so that you know that we are not suddenly isolated here from the rest of the world. First of all, our own broadcasts have been going out all night long via ABC Network, which of course was set up to do the World Series tonight, and Ted Koppel has been bringing these reports all across the country, so people do know what's happening here. We have been in touch with the White House repeatedly. The White House almost immediately reacted to this. They have already sent Samuel Skinner, Secretary of Transportation, here to assess the damage to freeways in particular, but the Bay Area in general, and they have said that damage aid, that is disaster aid, is understood. That means that they will most certainly go forward with that. One of the problems was that Governor Duke Majan was in Europe at the time this all occurred, and he is now being brought back, as we understand it, by Air Force jet to take command here, though the Lieutenant Governor, Leo McCarthy, has been with us tonight and is already well in contact with the emergency services people in the state. Officials at the Federal Emergency Management Agency are gathering right now in Washington, laying down plans to help us recover from this. FEMA officials are already being sent to Sacramento, we are told, to help with paperwork to speed up the aid. And you'll remember that after Hurricane Hugo, the federal emergency officials were blasted for acting perhaps a bit too slowly in that first 24 to 48 hour period. Well, that apparently is not happening this time. We're getting some information here. It's coming to us constantly. I want to go back to Anna. I'm going to go down to that map and try to use the big map downstairs.
Okay,
so why don't you carry on?
One of the things we're getting a lot of calls about, Peter, and what I'll talk about now for a little bit is the shelters that are open right now. The Red Cross shelters in San Francisco. Here are the locations. The Moscone shelter is at 3rd and Howard Streets. Go to the main entrance. Which way, Don? This one or this one? Which camera? Thank you. Moscone shelter at 3rd and Howard Streets, the main entrance. The Marina Middle School, the address is 35 Fillmore Street. St. Ignatius, there's 37th Avenue and Pacheco in Oakland. We have this shelter in Oakland at 2111 East 14th Street. The public information line in Oakland is this number, 273-3856. Again, the public information line about shelters and help for earthquake victims in Oakland is 273-3856. Right now, we are getting a bulletin from San Francisco Police. They recommend that all San Francisco residents remain in their homes. San Francisco Police are reporting there are some serious disturbances on the street, and right now they recommend that all people who live in San Francisco stay within their homes. We've already heard from the Lieutenant Governor a little bit earlier, and we do now confirm that the governor is on his way home to California. Governor Duke Majan was in West Germany on a trade mission, but he's cutting short his trip, of course. Leo McCarthy was here earlier and told us a little bit about that. He should be arriving tomorrow, and before heading home, he reportedly watched news of the quake on TV in Frankfurt.
The one thing that does surprise me from the report on this earthquake is the failure of some of the highways and roads and bridges. I've always been under the impression that those have been constructed to withstand these earthquakes, and so this is something that I think that we very definitely have to look into immediately and determine why they did not hold up. But you know, you've got many major buildings in downtown San Francisco that have withstood this. I think the ones that have fallen and the ones where you've got the destruction are the older buildings that were built before earthquake standards were established. And then, of course, as a result of the gas explosions and then the fire, that's causing additional destruction. But as far as the average individual home or apartment house that is built, even though it's along the earthquake fault, if it's built in accordance with earthquake building standards, I think that those buildings are able to withstand a shake of this size.
But we all know that a lot of buildings were built long before there were even earthquake standards in buildings.